screen. All right, hi there. My name is Carrie Gallison. Thank you so much for being here. Are any of you film students, teachers, anything? Aiming to be? Tell me about your background.
So the three of us here are working expanded learning programs. So
Okay,
we're always looking to bring new cutting edge things to all the students we work with.
Perfect. All right, this will work for you then as well. All right, so you come to Empowering Young Women to produce and direct films, and we're going to share some tips, some insights, and I have a wonderful undergrad film student who's going to share her firsthand experience in both high school film and now in college film. All right, so let's go ahead and advance. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to give you some background information on me. I started out in film in Hollywood quite a while ago, and I worked my way up from production assistant into the production office, production coordinator. Then I also was a script coordinator on films with Gary Marshall. He did The Princess Diaries, Pretty Woman, and I did films with Steven Soderbergh. I did Traffic way back when, and with Denzel Washington. I was with him and his team. And I was so happy to have a job. I was so happy to be in film. I was making copies, doing the coffee, all, like the stereotypical type stuff. And then moving my way up with Gary Marshall, I was on set with him as he's writing his script. I literally would be stationed next to him, and he's a comedy writer, so he's punching up his script to make it funnier, and I'm capturing that, and off we send it to the editors so they can make sense of what was happening every day, because it was a constant script revision. And I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I got to know the hairdressers, the makeup artists, scripts, cinematographers, everybody, and I was having a ball. I didn't think anything of it, that every director I worked for was male. Every cinematographer I worked for was male. The camera operators were male. The makeup artists were female. Hairdressers, female. Of course, there was the occasional exception. In my years on the Hollywood sets, I think I came across 2 female camera operators, and they were not the cinematographers. They were the ones loading the film. They were the ones doing the slate, so they were not the lead. 1 female grip from that whole time. She was tough, let me tell you. She was tough. All right, so again, just happy to be there, working with males at the top. Didn't think anything of it. And then I was so in love with film that I'm like, I want to start learning how to actually use the equipment myself. So I actually went backwards. I then went from working on the film sets to now I want to go learn how to do work equipment. So I went to film school, and I just took film classes at Saddleback College down in Mission Viejo. And what I noticed when I was there, 1/3 of the students were female, 2/3 were male. And we all had equal opportunity to check out equipment, use the cameras, put up C-stands, use the lighting kits. And myself included, what I noticed, once we got the camera equipment out, the guys would immediately step forward and get on that equipment and elbow their way in, and we would step back. We had every opportunity to use that equipment that they did. But they stepped forward. They were confident. They gained an opportunity. We lost the opportunity. And this happened again and again. And I remember one shoot in particular, and I was already, in Saddleback and beginning of college, I was 18, 19-year-olds. I'm already a mom by this point, so I'm already a bit older than the kids. And I remember this one kid, and he was this big guy, and it was time to operate the camera, and he's like, oh, I think I might even said, like, hey, I'll try it. Oh, wait, I've done this class. Like, I've had 3 production classes. I'm really good. I'm really good on the camera. I'll do it. Okay. Step back. The guy worked the camera, and he was awful. The worst. It was terrible. His footage was awful. But you know what he did? He stepped forward, right? He took that opportunity, and we stepped back. Didn't have any language to say, it's my turn. It just, okay. So finally I kind of was like, wait, I'm the one who's going to request the equipment. I'm the one who's going to pick it up. And then I started realizing I need to start speaking up and I need to get my hands on this equipment. Because otherwise the opportunity gap widens. The guys have more opportunity on the cameras. It's not a gender specific role. You don't have to be a certain gender to work any of this equipment. So fast forward, then I actually became an associate professor at Saddleback, and I was teaching the same course that I took years ago. And again, I mean, it was just over and over. The girls come, they're excited, and they step back. They step back, and the guys move forward. Now, if a girl is on camera, and she has a question or she's unsure, the guys literally push her out of the way, come in, and now they're operating. So I really grappled with that. Like what can I do to ensure that these women have opportunities to be on these cameras? Because when you're on the equipment, you have power. And when you have power, you're running the show, right? So I started thinking, do I make all female groups? Do I make boys and girls? Like how do I do this to have some type of equity with our students? And I found by creating female teams or assigning roles and rotating roles and making sure people stuck to their roles, then there was opportunity. Because the moment there was hesitation, someone who just was a little more confident then took that turn. So, and then I started having kids, so I backed my schedule up a little more and went back and got my teaching degree. And currently I'm at a K-8 charter school, and 2 gorgeous boys, and they get to hear my girl rants all the time. And
Good.
they're over it. And now I teach middle school digital media arts, and it's these little Girl Scout cookies over right there. Okay. And I teach digital media arts. I also teach 4th and 5th graders how to use camera equipment. We do a weekly news show. We get kids out doing interviews, and it starts so young at 9, 10 years old. The boys sleep in, and they're not intentionally knocking anyone out of the way. They're just getting up there and operating and trying. And the girls step back because they've been taught to get along, go with the flow, wait your turn.
Bless you.
And the boys, they just go for it. They just go for it. So, I wanted to share some, let's see, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, here we are. So now we're going to play. And I have prizes. So we're going to play Kahoot. So let me get that up. All right, so let me go to my Kahoot. Here we go. This one. Round 1.
Oh.
All right, do you know what to do? We're at a tech conference. I think you should know what to do. All right, we've got Ronnie, is it Ronnie or Bonnie? Ronnie, Devin, this Riley, who just started her Twitter handle today, so we gotta follow her. Megan. Anyone else still logging in? Everybody on? Yeah? Should we play? Okay, let's play. So yeah, wait, cancel, and let's go to view, and total screen. Start. Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. Question 1. How many women are nominated as Best Director at the Oscars this year?
Oh, shoot. I was thinking best picture, damn it.
0. 0 women are nominated for Best Director. So, Professor Stacy Smith from the USC Annenberg Film School wrote that only 5.1% of Best Director Award nominees across the Golden Globes, Academy Awards, DGA Awards, and Critics' Choice Awards were women. Only 4 individual women have ever been nominated for these awards, and just one woman,
That's a lot.
Catherine Bigelow,
Or,
has won for Hurt Locker 10 years ago.
I remember.
10 years ago.
It was
So
10 years ago.
10 years ago. In contrast, 94.9% of nominees across the awards, yeah. I don't think that's really news for us though, is it? No.
Oh, sorry.
All right, next. How many women cinematographers are there this year at the Oscars? None. 0. So, whether it is the Golden Globes, the Academy Awards, the DGA Awards, or the Critics' Choice Awards, we see that women's achievement behind the camera are still not seen or celebrated by their press or peers until we shatter the stereotype of who can be lauded as a director. We will not see change in this area. And that starts early. We gotta get these girls early moving along. All right, next one. True or false? Right. There are more men than women as film majors in college. False. There are actually more men now than women. There are more women than men now as film majors in college. So the question is, and this is from, let's see, another article from, I think, USC, that women make up literally half of the student body at USC and NYU, 2 of the best film schools in the United States. Where are they going after college? Only a very small few of them will actually be paid money to make Hollywood films, while their male colleagues hop from Sundance to all the other festivals. And then it goes on to say, women have worked so hard in college to develop ideas that they've brought along for future projects, and they hit that wall, which is this fierce boys club. So once they're out, where do they go? What opportunities are there for women? All right, next. Thank you. True or false? There are more male directors than female directors.
Oh, wait, teaching film school?
In film school? No, like in film school.
Okay.
Good question. Okay, remember there's a higher percentage of female film students, but there are more male directors. So this just happened at USC in the 90-year history of the USC School of Cinematic Arts. This is the first time a senior thesis in undergrad is ever produced by an all-female or gender non-conforming crew. First time in 90 years. And the director and producer, Carolyn Quinn, who's 22, and Madison Holbrook, who's 22, once they were a female director writing team, they purposely decided we're going to try to keep intentionally a female or non-gender identifying group. And their question was, would we find enough people that are talented? But is that really the question? The question really is, would we find enough women or non-gender identifying people that are talented? And the answer is, of course they could, and of course they would. It's that these people have not had the opportunity to get on the cameras, to be leaders, to be directors. And it was the qualifications that she was worried about finding, not the talent. There's no gender-specific crew member or like crew title in a movie film. They've just been identified as such and pushed along. So I want to introduce, if you want to advance the slide. Oh wait, we need to find a winner.
Oh, there's one.
Who's Devin? All right, Devin, number 3. we have a wonderful young filmmaker to share her experience with us. Let's hear from Johanna. So this is Johanna, and let's hear from her.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. So my name is Johanna Rahman, and I'm a filmmaker, storyteller, and first-year student at CSUN, as a film major, of course. And I'm super passionate about bringing diversity to film and empowering women to be strong in film. So a little bit of my background. I have been a creative writer my whole life. Stories just happen in my head. I can't control it. I gotta write them down. So I was doing that my entire childhood, and then in 5th grade, my life changed because I watched the movie Titanic. I know, and I was just blown away by like how powerful a story could be, but also like the size of that production. Like that's insane. A movie could do that. So I went through like a 4-year Titanic phase where I was just completely obsessed. I loved all things related to the movie, and I actually ended up reading the screenplay. I was a diehard fan. So I read the screenplay and I was just like so impressed with this new medium. I didn't know you could like tell stories for the screen specifically by writing screenplays. So I started to explore that new medium for my own storytelling, and I felt that it really fit for like the stories that I wanted to tell. So eventually, after writing enough screenplays, I realized that I didn't want to let go of them, and I wanted to have control over them through the entire filmmaking process, so pre-production, production, and post. I wanted to control like the overall vision, so director. And now I'm a film major at California State University, Northridge, my first choice college. And I've made a documentary and a short film so far in my film career. So now I'm going to talk about my experience in my high school's film program, what was good about it, but more what I would challenge and what I didn't like about it. So I went to a public high school here in Orange County, and we have a very reputable film program there that I had, again, a love-hate relationship with. So shortly after joining, I realized it was a really cliquey environment, but I also noticed that there were certain fields like girls were pushed to pursue, and there were also fields that boys were encouraged to pursue. So we even had a term for it. There was a whole group of guys, and they were called the Cine Boys. And we loved our Cine Boys. That was just this whole thing, but there were no Cine Girls. All the girls were kind of put in the box of production design. Nothing against production design, but like you've heard my background, that's not at all what I'm interested in film. I wanted to get my hands on the camera, but I wasn't ever given the opportunity to do so. So again, I was pushed towards production design. And when it came to the bigger productions, we were allowed to like list the top 3 positions we wanted on set. So of course I put director, I put cinematographer, and I normally put like story or editing just to try something new. But I always got art director and prop master, which is not at all what I'm interested in. So in other words, I asked for what I wanted the way I was told I could ask, but I never went beyond that to actually push for what I wanted. So I also felt talked down to generally and not taken seriously by any of the Cine Boys. I talked to my best friend in that class, and we were talking about our experiences together, and immediately she recalled this one time that we were working on the set for a short film. We were painting a wall, and one of the Cine Boys who had never spoken to us prior or after that incident walked past us and said, "Oh, you guys are making a film, huh? That's what I like to see," as if he'd like put his stamp of approval on it. And it was really hurtful that he felt that he could talk down to us in that way. And also there was this one time my friend recalled where she was struggling to put a lens cap on a camera, and one of the Cine Boys was laughing at her because she couldn't do such a simple task. But in reality, she just had the wrong lens cap. So little things like that made all the difference and made us feel like we were less than and less important in that environment. So through that experience, I learned that on-set equipment is where the power is. Because anyone can do production design or an arty kind of field, but you actually have to know what you're doing to set up a C-stand or set up a tripod, operate a camera. You have to have that experience, otherwise you might break it, and that's not good either. So that's first and foremost what I learned. I also learned that it's already assumed that as women we don't know what we're doing. So if we hesitate, we'll lose the opportunity to have the experience on the equipment, like what Barry was saying. I also learned that if we spoke up for ourselves, or stood up for ourselves, we're seen as bossy or rude or controlling, and no one would want to work with someone like that, so that would also take away our opportunities just by pushing for what we wanted. So I had like the most regrettable incident to share with you guys of a time that I completely should have stood up for myself, but didn't really know how and also was too afraid to. So I was in the process of making my short film, and I needed to record some audio to dub one of the scenes because we didn't record any audio for that scene. So I had my actress with me. She was a very novice actress, so she was very nervous, and I had to like coach her through a lot of the acting work. We had cleared the time to use the equipment with my teacher, but we didn't have any kind of official equipment checkout sheet. So I felt that we were all good. My actress arrived, I'm going over like what I need her to do, that kind of stuff. And this group walks in and they start using the equipment. And I was like, hold up, what are you guys doing? I spoke to our teacher and he said I could use it. And they're like, oh, like we'll just take this amount of time, we really need to get this done. And I didn't say anything, and I just like, okay, maybe can you finish by this time? Like, I have my talent here, she's waiting. So they start working, time's ticking, I'm like, okay, come on. And they cut my time in half. And so by the time I get onto the equipment, my actress is flustered, we have a lot less time than we thought we were gonna have. And additionally, the thing that I'm really frustrated about is that they all sat around the booth. They didn't go into a separate room, they didn't let us work, they didn't go even to the other side of the costume, nothing. They just literally sat as if like the booth was here and they were just here like, okay, come on, let's go. As if we were a lot less important than them and we were just taking up their time, when in reality, we had cleared the time, like we were fine. So my actress was really embarrassed because the audio I needed her to record was her breathing really fast. So she was really embarrassed to record that in front of like a bunch of guys. And I was so embarrassed because I had just been walked over in front of my talent, in front of my actress. Like, are you kidding me? So eventually I let into their physical intimidation and just kind of hurried to finish the session. Like, it was already bad enough. And I went home and I cried a lot because I was just so hurt and embarrassed. So I think like reflecting on it now, it felt like I had a lot less of a right to be on that equipment than them, but obviously that's like not true. We all had the same application process to get in the program, and we're all filmmakers here, there was no like spirit of that. So, had I had the confidence in myself to like speak up, or the vocabulary, I think it would have gone a lot differently. So now I want to focus on like some advice that I can give you guys on how to improve like film programs or just any programs in general. So my first and like kind of most basic piece of advice is let's change the language we use to talk about certain positions on set. So cameraman, best boy, construction foreman, like there's already a bias ingrained into the language that we're using, and it doesn't take much to change. Camera off, literally like one word. And then another thing that I find really frustrating, and I also see this a lot in the film classes I'm in now at my college, is that the default word for describing a director is he. Not there, not her, it's he. The director and his cinematographer, that kind of language. And that's so exclusionary, like what the heck, I want to be a director. And all it takes is just switching that word he to there. And then boom, you're including literally everyone. It's not that hard. So first and foremost, let's think about that. It's 2020, there's no excuse, let's change that. Second of all, it's really important to foster an environment of equality. And like Carrie said, rotating roles would be huge, because sometimes we're kind of afraid to be like, yeah, I really want to be a cinematographer. We're kind of afraid to be like, yeah, I want to be an editor, because that's not what people think we want to do. So rotate the roles, give us that chance without us having to ask, because it takes away that like barrier and that wall of being scared to ask. And then have official checkout sheets for equipment. Like that's what happened to me. If I had been able to just be like, yeah, I checked it out. That's it. Like, you know, that ends the conversation there. And then another thing I would encourage is allow girls to push for credit. If I do work on a set and like say I was a PA on set, but I actually ended up doing Slate, give me the credit for Slate. I can use that on, you know, my resume. So that kind of thing. And then I would also encourage everybody to encourage young girls to try roles they haven't tried. And obviously this applies to all fields. So in film, it would kind of look like asking somebody, hey, have you considered editing? Like, you know, you might be really good at that. Or, hey, maybe would you like to shadow our cinematographer? Like, they're really nice, let me introduce you to them. And then, are there any other departments you're interested in? You know, let me introduce you to our key grip. They're really nice. Stuff like that makes all the difference because then we don't have to ask. And it's already like giving us an opportunity to try new things. You know, if anything, you're gonna just get more experience. There's nothing wrong with that. And then lastly, I would say that, like for my teacher, he was such a sweetheart. Like for that class, and even though it was a really like toxic environment at times, he had no idea. He didn't know that any of that happened to me. He didn't know that I went home crying. So I would say if you didn't know this was a problem, like I've told you, it is. It happens, even in settings as plain as a high school film program. So there's no excuse really, you know? But also if you have a program and you're really proud of it and you think that there's this amazing environment of equality and you know, we're just such a big family, that's exactly the kind of thing that the people in that program would say. So I would still challenge that and I would say look deeper, you know, actually pay attention to what's happening because it's not easy to acknowledge, but that might be the environment you're creating. So lastly, I just want to flex a little bit. So my best friend just won first place for her show trailer at CETA. So she's gone on and been really successful. And then obviously I got into CSUN, which was really amazing. So success is possible, we can do it, but obviously change needs to happen. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so before we get into round two, I want to show you a couple things. I want to show you what it actually looks like. I took some footage, actually, my wonderful friend Lindsay took some footage of the kids working and what that looked like in our new show. First up though, I want to show you we had an assignment for our 6th graders for our new show. They had a project for project-based learning school. They were doing a project on ancient Egypt, creating a board game which had the resources and money and you know, kind of like a life game or something. Gamify their learning. And the ask for me was, I would like one of you to go out and film 6th graders to share their experience. So one boy, oh yeah, I got it, grabbed the camera and went. Nothing against him, he was ready to go. But let's see what he captured. Let's see what you notice. Let's make sure we got the volume. All right. So here's his interview footage. Hang on, stand by, technical difficulties, why aren't we hearing you? Could be that.
Actually build a project, then you got to use paint and use your like sense of how to build it or how you wanted to build it, and it's kind of just like cool that it was your activity. It's not a teacher telling you what to do and what you had to do. So that's what I kind of liked.
What was the hardest part about your project?
The hardest part was probably thinking of how to make the game and how to make it interesting.
What was your favorite part about the project?
Probably being able to work together with my team to make some fun things for the project.
What was the hardest part about the project?
The hardest part about the project was probably getting through the things that were not possible and trying to figure out what we could do and what we couldn't.
And that was the end. What did you notice? All boys. All boys. Did he intentionally say, I'm gonna interview only boys? No, those are his friends, right? Those are his buddies. So he's interviewing all boys. Now the opportunity to hear from girls and the opportunity for a girl to operate the camera and a girl to direct, gone. And it's just because he came forward and literally grabbed the equipment and he's gone. So we've got to get girls grabbing that equipment, feeling confident, taking those risks and trying something new in what they perceive to be a male-dominated area. All right, so this is just this past week. This was, I think, Tuesday, in my film, my news show group. Let's watch this footage. All right, let's watch this one. Okay, so this girl, this is during lunchtime, which is why they're eating. She's the director. This is a talent. This young man is just part of the group. He doesn't really have an assigned role. He's there to break down tripods and help out, but he was not assigned as camera operator or director. And we have another girl, she's hiding, you'll see her in a second. She is the camera operator.
Something is your favorite thing. It's literally just saying what you did. What you guys were doing. We're walking. But like scenery, stuff like that.
So what are the guys doing right now?
Sort of like standing around and looking what she's doing, sort of crowding.
They are hovering. He has no reason to be there at all. The guy right next to her. He's just interested. He's just interested, right? And then I'm encouraging her, try new things, touch, go back and forth, turn the dials.
Practice one more time.
On the hikes, we went walking up mountains and we got this off and it's really pretty.
No, talk about what was while you were hiking up there. What?
That was great. We need to be a bit louder, like as loud as Chloe and Kyle was.
Okay.
Not to be too
Louder.
loud. You don't have to be that.
Okay.
Also, I don't take this into offense or too seriously, but I think I would like it if you showed a little more emotions.
Okay, try and be a bit louder, right?
On the hikes, we saw trees and bushes and tons of flowers, and they were really pretty. And I liked getting to the top and seeing them.
All right, what did you notice in that? So, again, the guy who was speaking up, he was not supposed to be camera operator or director. The young girl, Emily, here, prior to being, like 10 minutes before this, she'd been with me since September on the news show. She never pressed the power button. I said, you're gonna run camera, let's get it set up. Literally, right, I'm like, go ahead, press the button. So we have to provide opportunities for girls, assign them. She did not volunteer to do camera operator, and then how was she by the end?
Good.
She was fine.
Yeah.
Will she do it again?
Hopefully, yeah.
Probably, right? And she found her voice. She started giving direction. Probably if I hadn't been there and the moment she hesitated, that guy would have jumped in. So you have to be conscious as a teacher in any of these like male-dominated areas to be sure you're in there, because the two girls did not say, hey, can you go sit over there? We need some space. hey, back up, please. And it's my job to give them some language to be leaders, to say, hey, you know what, your talent, I need you over there, and if you're looking for something to do, can you be over there and edit, or just something, so they can get these people out of their space. These people literally do crowd around them. So we need to provide opportunities, assign it, be there coaching them, help give them language to remove people from their space, and keep encouraging them to be leaders. All right, final Kahoot. We're right on time. New game. I hope you are listening to Johanna, because a lot of her work is in this one. Round 2. Kahoot. This was our last one. All right, second round. Here we go. We have one more logging in. The score?
There's on 5.
Oh, 5. Okay, cool. All right, let's start. All right, this is about tools for empowering girls. Okay, so the 6th grade male director films interviews for the news show. That's what we watched. What was missing? Yeah, clearly. And it's really important to make sure girls get out there and tell their story. Because in my film class, I have them do a movie review, and it's like Star Wars Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One, Rise of Skywalker, and then it's like, Home Alone. I'm like, thank you, just something different, for goodness sake. All right. What is the best way to encourage girls to operate cameras? You would think it would be assigned each student time to operate the camera. Johanna had assigned time from the teacher to be in the lab, right? So even when you have assigned time, people barrel in and they take it because they feel that they are more important at that time. So you have to coach her how to use that camera and how to direct, and part of that directing is language to say, nope, it's my turn, you're over there, I will let you know when I'm done. Nope, you're still over there, I'll let you know when I'm done. All right, we're going to be really specific about that. All right, next. What can you do to encourage girls to produce and direct media? And this could be anything in any field. Well done, nicely done. All right, so we got to role play scenarios. Assign specific opportunities to lead, even if they don't want it. Too bad. That's why they're in school. Sometimes they have to do what the teacher says. All right, practice, right?
Yeah.
Practice assertive verbal responses and even body language too. So all of the above. Ooh, who's Queen Nick? All right. Ooh, you're on fire this go around. What are more ways to encourage girls to lead in film? Gender neutral language. Ask them to consider director of camera. Rotate roles. Yeah, you got it. Final question. All right, let's see who's on top. Yes, Miss Riley. If you have questions for me or Johanna, or how our tips can apply to any field that you would like to discuss or talk about, we would love to share with you. And we really appreciate your time. We know it's the last session, it's a gorgeous Saturday, so thank you so much. Thank you.